Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your enthusiasm and energy. My name is Richard Burgess, and I'm with the Center for Competitive Workforce, one of the largest regional strong workforce projects in the Los Angeles area with the 19 community colleges. And along with LADC, very pleased to host today's meeting and presentation with AT&T and DAKAR Foundation. We have a illustrious assembly of very important partners. And I don't use that term lightly. The commitment I think that you all represent, both in your lives and in your values and in your work, is why you're here today, and why we've chosen to launch this next phase of our efforts to change the lives of young people, to continue to support economic development in our region, and to continue to elevate the role that community colleges and post-secondary, and we have CSU in the room as well, the role that our education institutions not only play but are expected to play and to impact lives and economic development. And so you'll hear more about the work of the Center for Competitive Workforce. Our reports are in front of you, the first of which was launched and is in front of you, called Powering Economic Opportunity. Not typically the kind of report that you would expect from community colleges or even post-secondary, but certainly, and we can only do this because of our partnership with LAEDC and with all of you. You also have in front of you another one of our reports on the rise of entertainment and digital media, or digital media and entertainment. And again, community colleges working with our business and economic development partners truly need to be on the same page, the same GPS, and understand how we work together in order to meet the challenges of the 21st century and of our regional economy. So I want to turn it over to Jessica and Carolyn Hall, Vice President of Strategic Initiatives and Industry Cluster Development. Our hosts, along with Chris Rico, also our LAEDC family, a very large and important family, but this is our home, this is your home, and to our hosts, and then we'll hear briefly from Dr. Patricia Ramos from Santa Monica College, who is the college lead for the Center for Competitive Workforce and other regional initiatives, including a recent Amazon Web Services cloud computing launch in Seattle 2 weeks ago. And then to our host and MC for the day, Kevin Clark, who you all know or will shortly know. So, Carolyn and Jessica. And
well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is an exciting opportunity. LADC has been one of the county's leaders in economic development since the 1980s, and we have been honored to embark upon this partnership with the community colleges as we look at expanding the opportunities for middle skilled students. And so I'm going to turn it over to Justin, who may want to say a few to Chris, but really just to kind of welcome you and let's get started with the program.
I think that said it well.
well, let me then just add, no. It's important that we all know each other, because if we become family, it's important we know each other. And the role that LADC is playing to lead and support most of our most important industry engagement initiatives are with our data, with business support, and just our strategic alignment is so critical. And so that cannot go unsaid, and nor can it go unsaid that Jessica was most recently with the South Bay Workforce Development Board. And she has a long history with other strategic partners, and it's critical that this sort of cross-fertilization, that the expertise that is being attracted to this table from many different sectors is so important for success. And Jessica was more than a rising star. She was the star of the workforce development system that I served in for over a decade. And so it was a great coup that she sort of joins this team and this family and helps us bring all of our partners to the table. So
Sure.
no, that cannot go.
Thank you, thank you. So I'm the Director of Workforce Development here at LEDC, and the big vision is that we're gonna do some systems change. We want to ensure that our education and workforce system is aligned with the needs of business and industry. And what systems do we need to take a look at, modify, strengthen, replicate, so that we can streamline the system to ensure that our education and workforce is bringing the talent, cultivating the talent that's needed to keep businesses here and our economy thriving. And of course, we're also focusing then on the underserved communities. So those who are disconnected from the workforce, with our economy moving to be more highly skilled, will continue to be that much more disconnected. So when we include this disconnected workforce into the system, then we're closing the skills gap, because we have more people in our region with the skills that employers are looking for. So that's my role here. LEDC is a big proponent of growing our economy, which we know that workforce is a significant part of it as well. So I'm excited to be here and to partner with all of you to bring my expertise to the table, facilitate and include as many partners as we need so that we can have the system that works.
Was that good enough? We can continue on. That was beautiful.
We could continue on, but we will turn it over to Kevin. But thank you for hosting.
Okay, great. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedule today. This was, again, quite a gathering of people that I know are going to do some great things for students in Los Angeles County. Just a little bit about DAKAR Foundation, for those who don't know me. We are a 27-year-old nonprofit, 501c3. We were a public foundation, now private. Our goal, our task really is to become a broker to make sure that we are here to find a way to help everybody who is charged and challenged with getting young people, not only through scholastic academic environments, but into the workforce. How we get measured for success is how people get a W-2 or W-9. And I've been working to try and get a career bank so that we can actually have jobs that can be deposited in this bank, and we can find a way to get people who want to give us the precise requirements for what they're looking for in a student as part of that formula for getting a withdrawal from that bank. So our goal right now is to try and introduce partners and look at a way for you guys to share with us today. And so I'm going to ask everybody at some point to go around the table and talk about their vision for success. So when we walk away from this table today, we'll have a better understanding of how we can synthesize the things that we can actually bring into any programs, projects, or pilots. So the first introduction that I'd like to make, and again, there's a list of people that, I mean, again, it's big, but I want to start with a guy who's really helped me try to crystallize something that we call the Digital Pathway Initiative. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jay Tucker.
Morning, everybody. So as Kevin said, my name's Jay Tucker. So I ran into Kevin at a very fortuitous time. I see a lot of partners in crime in this room. I spent, I think 8 years at USC, actually working at an Institute for Communication Technology Management, actually in this building for a couple of those years. Where we work directly with industry partners on issues that pertain to things like sensors and mobility and big data and the future of tech and the future of entertainment. And in doing that, I launched an initiative at USC called Silicon Beach at USC, which was meant to try to pull in the entrepreneurial students with influential alums, investors, and where we get at talking about the future of tech, the future of entertainment, but also where we had a venture competition, kind of like Shark Tank, where we gave away $50,000 a year. So first prize was $25,000 in cash, no strings attached, right? USC wasn't taking equity. If you won the competition, you got $25,000 that you could spend on your business. Anyway, in doing that, the question that the woman to my left, Michelle Turner asked me was, okay, well, this is all great, the stuff that's happening in the industry, but what does it mean for us? Right? What does it mean for the people who are living in these communities, who are seeing, you know, technology transform these industries and creating opportunities, but this kind of train of innovation was just running them over as opposed to stopping at their station and giving them a chance to get on, right? So, you know, at that time, I met a bunch of other folks who are also interested in trying to figure out ways to help supplement, you know, young people's education with experiences and other opportunities that would get them plugged in and connected. One of the folks that I met was Kevin, who had already been doing great work in Compton with Compton High around media production. But there were lots of other folks, and some of them are in this room, who are really passionate about trying to figure out ways that we can provide opportunities for people who are willing to learn so that they can get plugged into the new economy, right? The idea behind Digital Pathways, or the Digital Pathway Initiative, was simply to figure out a way to take all the work that everybody was doing already and create some kind of roadmap where we could synchronize those efforts in a way so that to the user, to the learner, right, to the person interested in getting plugged in, whatever their point of entry was, they would understand where they could find the other resources, other people, other opportunities to keep moving on until, as Kevin likes to say, till they get their career started, right? So the idea is that the class that you take, or the major that you have, or the internship that you had, or the case competition you were in, that's not the end of the road, right? The idea is that that's supposed to lead to other opportunities once you've been vetted and you're now kind of in the family, right? So there are some adjacencies to that we still have to all work on, one of which, and that's why I'm excited that Donovan Green is here, is around corporate partnerships, because getting these kids ready is great. It's even better when there are large enterprises who do hire lots of folks who actually believe that these people have been properly trained to move into their organizations and make an impact, right? So, you know, getting all dressed up for the party and then not having an invitation is no fun. So making sure that we work with companies like Snap, Amazon, AT&T to make sure that those opportunities are there at the end of the rainbow is great. And then the other piece, as I mentioned earlier, is just to make sure that we know each other and that we can leverage each other's relationships and resources and plug people in when they think that they're ready to get into media production or coding or drones, augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. That if to the degree that we've prepared them to do a thing and kind of broaden their perspective, we need to also be able to help push them to the next opportunity so that they're, you know, they're not stopping, right? And with that, I'll stop, but thank you for...
Well, Jay's very humble, and again, there's a lot of things compressed in this conversation that we're going to have. But the takeaway really is to try to find out how we can learn more about some synergistic ways to create a pilot. And I've got some ideas, but I'm thinking that maybe we can go around the table from this way and then arrive at a way to introduce some of the student presentations. So I'm going to introduce Michelle Turner.
Good morning. Good morning. So I like to consider myself Jay's original partner in crime because kind of, you know, overlaying on what he's saying, you know, what Jay and I were seeing in the institutional environment, we saw a lot of smart kids of color that were not in the room in Silicon Beach. But we knew where they were. We knew that they were over on the side of content provision. You know, they might have been in theater, or all of them are in screenwriting or music production, but they weren't on the business side, they weren't on the technical side. My background is in tech. I was 14 years at IBM in the front with Fortune 100 clients, one of very few Black women in that position before I left and started my own company. But you know, at the same time, we knew being few in the room was not a badge of honor. You know, the real journey is, well, how do we bring the next generation over onto this side where we're not? And so that really started our conversation, and we found that it was hard. You know, I can't even tell you the incentives that we would offer to get young kids of color in the room in Silicon Beach, but the problem was they didn't see their path.
Right.
You know, and what we also found was that this conversation is not limited to just what can one institution do. Jay's now over at UCLA, I'm still at SC, and we know that this is a broad sector level conversation, and the only way to win it is to know where our partners really are and how we can engage each other and really make this work. So I'm just happy to be here and add where I can and add value from my institution where I can, but just to personally also engage.
Okay, Michelle, can you tell us where you're from?
Wow, did I forget that? Okay, so I'm at my title, I'm at USC. I'm the executive director of the Black Alumni Association. And what that really means is I do have a focus on our kids. And so I'm an informal connector because my job is not only to put them in this space, but because I know what the potential of this space is and its connection into the future, I intentionally try to put them in this space as much as I can. And sometimes it just doesn't land only at SU. Many times it doesn't. I'm fortunate to have worked with Donovan for many years, and am so excited about what AT&T is legally finally able to do, you know, in terms of creating a very broad opportunity now for young people, but hopefully a lot of kids that look like us. So, great.
And a new part of my family, I can't remember your name.
Oh, Mike Williams.
Yes.
Mike Williams, I'm over at LA Pierce College. I'm the pathway coordinator for the college. And we're talking about vision.
Vision for success and
Vision.
yeah.
My focus is to satisfy industry needs with students. So we have the students, I have a database, and we have the training. So we just want to make sure we're a good fit for whatever industry is looking for, whatever skills they're looking for. So that's my job, is to connect students with industry.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Tricia Ramos. I'm the Dean of Workforce and Economic Development at Santa Monica College, and it is just so refreshing to be in a room with people that get it and you know, getting to the work. So as Richard mentioned, I oversee the Center for Competitive Workforce project, and it is funded out of the California State Chancellor's Office. This is a joint venture with multiple partners that understand that we need more business intelligence and we need more systems alignment. As Jessica was mentioning, how do we do that? We were funded by JP Morgan Chase with a little planning grant, and then the Strong Workforce came along. And I don't know if you know anything about the Strong Workforce program, but the California State Legislature is investing billions of dollars in the community college system. We are being looked at as the avenue that can close the skills gap and more likely the opportunity gap that it is. We'll leave that conversation for another day. So the Center for Competitive Workforce is really about gathering more intelligence and understanding really what the landscape is, because as Deans of Workforce and Economic Development, we are charged with bringing programs through, aligning with the other colleges so that there's no destructive competition amongst us, and that there are opportunities for students at the other end. That's what it's ultimately about in terms of our coordination. So it has to start with good data, and so since the good data wasn't being produced for us, for our faculty to have in their hands to really understand where those investments need to be for now and in 5 years and in 10 years, it wasn't there, so we're building it ourselves, and we're taking everyone along with us, and it doesn't work without having the business community with us to validate the data that is coming out, and for us to partner with business industry so that you really look at us as your workforce pipeline, at least for that middle skills level. If you look on the back of this first report, you'll see what all of the colleges are in Los Angeles and in Orange County that we work with, through the State Chancellor's Office. So our goal is to create alignment not only in the entertainment sector, across all sectors, in global trade and logistics and healthcare and all of that. So with that, I will just hush and turn it over to my colleagues, and I'm happy to be here working with all.
Basically on legislation to help AT&T business and also to help bridge the digital divide. So me and my team is responsible for all of the elected officials' relationships in 5 counties: unincorporated LA County, Santa Barbara County, Ventura County, Kern County, and San Luis Obispo. So that's well over 100 plus cities, plus hundreds of elected officials. Also, because with downsizing, et cetera, I'm one of the few African Americans left at this leadership level, so I also have responsibility for the major African American organizations statewide. Put a lot of stuff on our plate. So it took me a couple of years to fish out, mentor, and train to get a mirror on my team, so I have someone else with that sensitivity to help me. This is a very challenging position. Also, we manage AT&T's foundation. And we have a couple other pockets of money that we can provide to nonprofit organizations that are doing things in the tech arena, education arena, health arena, etc. That's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing to have access to all these funds. I mean, our department probably gives out well over $1 million a year. The curse is a lot of the nonprofit organizations have more of an entrepreneurial, individual mentality, and they don't understand what it takes to get their hands on this corporate money and this foundation money. So it's stressful to me to continue to mentor, educate, and meet the deadlines, or else we lose the money. So it's taken me a couple of years to work with Kevin, so we got to this point, and we'll talk a few minutes and do the check presentation. So, you know, we're giving the DAKAR Foundation $25,000 today, but trust me, that's a pea in the ocean compared to what we can do.
Wow.
And what we have to show the fruits of this program. What AT&T is trying to do now, you know, we're like the modern day Pac-Man. We're gobbling up tech companies and film companies like crazy. To the point where there are programs going on in my office and my campus, I don't even know what's going on until somebody calls and says they read this in the paper. Byron sent me an email maybe a couple months ago about some coding program on campus. What program was it?
It was a program with Reese Business School Company. It was for girls. That was like a week program that AT&T sponsored.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a different one.
Yeah. Hollow Sunshine. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So I didn't even know that was there. I said, I don't think we did that. So I did my research and found out it was funded out of North Carolina.
But the program was based in LA. Wow.
Right. Well, see, when AT&T bought DirecTV a few years ago, we are now the international headquarters for AT&T's technology, entertainment, internet, film, etc. We have 5 campus buildings there. And you know, I've taken people on a number of tours there, and I still don't understand everything that we do. We have an engineering department that programs and monitors set-top boxes for every place DirecTV is in the world. So when I take people on tour there, there'll be a guy here working with Brazil, with England, with Russia, all these different companies. So we bring students there to look at this, to understand what the current modern-day technology environment looks like. We hosted AC Green's Foundation a couple weeks ago. And again, a blessing and a curse. A blessing because we had over 200 young students there, junior high, high school age. If you can imagine, some of them missed the bus. And their parents were bringing them, security was driving me crazy. Kids across the Imperial Highway. But for them to see, you know, it's no secret in this country, we don't have enough, we don't produce enough technology students to fulfill all the jobs. So there are a ton of people in our location that come from other countries. The main ones are China and India. So for the first time in my life and career, I'm learning and listening to Cantonese and the Mandarin Chinese, and I'm not even sure, I'm embarrassed what Indian people speak, but they're speaking a different language too. So for students to take a visit there to see what this current technology environment looks like is very educational. All the people that we have in the room, like I said, this first check I'm giving Kevin is great, but AT&T's new challenge is with the companies that we bought, there is a forecasted shortcoming in entry-level technology jobs. So our state president and worked with a couple community colleges in Northern California. He wanted to extend this program in Southern California, which is where our connection came in with Kevin. So we are looking to work with community colleges to get the skill sets for the jobs and careers that we know about. As you know, the immersion between internet, technology, et cetera, there are a lot of careers that we don't even know exist yet. And our young people are so creative that it is just a challenge. So what I try to do is to make opportunities for underserved nonprofits in the STEM area, technology area, to grow their programs. And then when I try to give you a heads up on technology that's coming out, the new technology that's coming out right now is 5G. Us, Verizon, and other telecom companies are building infrastructure as we speak for 5G. Like I said, part of my job is to get legislation passed to support our technology and to bridge the digital divide. So a lot of times I'm looking for partnerships with nonprofit organizations who will write letters of support, because as you know, how can I say this tactfully? The sound that's coming out of Washington, D.C. doesn't always have underserved folks as a top priority. And a lot of times legislation are hundreds of pages long, and we don't take the time to read that. So we have people that we pay to make sure the legislation that's in there will benefit and help bridge the digital divide. So I look for constant partnerships with nonprofits when I need a letter written to your local senator or assembly person to tell why we need to pass this legislation. So that's part of my job. The other thing is, like I said, to give you a heads up on new technology. In the next 12 months, AT&T and a lot of telecom companies are building infrastructure for 5G. It's going to be a technology more so controlled, more software-wise than hardware. So we're putting small cell towers on top of light posts, street lamps, and other places that will build the infrastructure for 5G. And then it'll be software controlled, where someone at a desktop will be able to hit a button for 3G, 4G, 5G, and then whatever's coming up next. So right now the infrastructure is being built. Manufacturers that are smart are in test cycles with us right now in different cities, testing hardware that will be compatible with 5G. I'm educating students to look for this hardware that's coming out so you can begin to develop applications and things to ride on 5G. And with 5G, it's supposed to be minimum 2 to 15, 20 times faster than any internet we know. So things like automated cars and different things in the medical industry that can't exist today will exist with 5G. So my role is to let everyone here know about technology as it comes out. And if I don't know about it, call me up like Barron, send me an email, and I'll ask questions and find out and get back to you. So I want to thank everybody for coming today, looking at the different potential partnerships. Very excited with the opportunities with Kevin Hart's organization. We also, when we bought, Time Warner Inc., we also now own HBO, CNN, TNT, etc. Warner Brothers Studios. And with buying HBO, they're very creative in giving underserved and persons of color opportunities. So we recently bought the rights to LeBron James' Barbershop series. So I was given a call by HBO a couple of weeks ago to recommend some proven nonprofits that have proven programs, and I recommended the Brotherhood Crusade. So they provided 40, 50 students at a filming this last week at a barbershop in Hollywood for LeBron James series. Also, with young people, things are being recreated, reinvented. Sesame Street is being reinvented, I think more with a underserved focus. And so we also provided students and nonprofit organizations to work with them. So as I find out about things, I share with nonprofits and partners as yourself. And if you hear about something, let me know, because AT&T does so much stuff now, it's impossible to stay on top of everything. But we will find out and help. So with that, I think we want to get on to the presentation of the reason that I'm here. So here you have that big check.
That's why I'm here.
You want to get open? Let me get it. No, that's good. Right.
Nice.
Orange.
It's not really straight, if you want to
Yeah.
lift your side.
Right there, perfect, that's straight.
$25,000.
My smile is be bigger, huh?
You want another zero,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Get down in the
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Out in front?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. You just need to check. Which one? So you're to the left or right, Donovan?
Yes, more like.
Donovan just a half a step to the left, just to the right. Half a step.
Oh, that is
That's right.
That's right.
Great. Hold on, now look over there.
That's what we wanted.
Great, say cheddar.
Cheddar.
I believe they did.
Camera over here.
Quickly. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, where are we looking?
Well, is it check straight? Omar is now an industry certified professional. So. It covers it. Get out of food. There we go. Okay.
And some students.
Okay, thanks for your CSU there. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Vincent.
So Vincent, I think one of my board members is your CEO.
Where's that Lawrence?
One more industry. Last call for industry. Last call for industry.
Hey, Jay.
No, man.
So we do today, we get to do this.
4 years.
So this is interesting.
Hopefully one day.
Industry, last call for industry. You're a little crooked.
Because you know that that's what's up.
Slow you
Yeah,
down.
so we talked. Yeah.
Not too close to the food. One more, 2, 1, 2. All right.
And you didn't, when I didn't get to, I came in.
So this is gonna fly.
Damn police stop the freeway.
Oh, no. We gotta remember that private thing, right? I'm just a fan.
Hey, Lawrence, you got us?
Yeah, I got you.